3000.
What he's doing, my name's Maloney. This is the 3000 podcast. I'm joined today by our first ever BMX rider.
True.
People always ask for BMX riders, man.
True.
And you're the first one we've got on. Lewis Mills. Thanks for coming, man.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Louis or Lewis?
Whatever.
What?
Whatever. Louis.
Louis.
Yeah, Louis.
Louis?
Yeah.
All right. Louis, I appreciate you coming, man. You are the first BMX rider we've had on the show, and a lot of people ask for riders, but you specifically.
True.
So it's going to be cool because I'm not much of a BMX dude.
Okay.
Jeans are wording me up.
I was about to
a few
say,
things.
Jeans was technically the first BMX rider.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's not professional.
Not professional, but BMX rider at core for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I know that you're new to Melbourne, relatively new, but let's talk about sort of where you grew up and how you got into BMX and all this other cool shit that you're into as well.
Well, I moved to Melbourne like I was saying before, 2 years ago.
Yep. Do you want to just bring the mic down a tiny bit so it just
Yeah.
hits you? Yeah, there we go.
There we go. That good there?
Yeah.
So yeah, Melbourne move was like 2 years ago. I met my girlfriend down here, and I was in a spot where I was like, "Fuck it, I can move." Mm-hmm. She was doing university and had a job, and I was kind of been in Sydney all my life. Thought I was going to live there forever, but I don't know. I've been to Melbourne a couple times before moving here, and I really liked it. So I kind of just like leapt with that feeling.
Yep.
But yeah, grew up in Sydney. I grew up in a little place called Terry Hills,
Yep.
which is like 40 minutes north of the city.
Okay.
And it's like a little bush suburb, so it's like in this little tucked away spot, so you're surrounded by a national park.
Can you train it to the city from there?
No, you can't. You have to get a bus, and there's only one bus service.
And you can't take your BMX on a bus.
No. You could sometimes. We'd take off the front wheel and pretend like our tire was popped, but I don't know, depending on the bus driver, they'd have it or they wouldn't have it.
Yeah. So you're kind of isolated as a kid.
Yeah. Super isolated. All of like my friends grew up in the suburb. We all started riding BMX because we were building dirt jumps.
Yep. So it's a mode of transport as well as like a fucking activity.
Definitely, because we didn't have cars, obviously, and the suburb was small enough to where you could go from end to end. Yeah, it was chill. It was good. Good place to grow up.
For sure. Where, man, I grew up here with trams and you couldn't take your BMX on a tram. That's
Yeah.
why everyone had a skateboard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why people do it in the end. Like, it would be tough, but yeah, we were down with it because I guess the national park provided us with that sort of escape to build dirt jumps and have time to ourselves because no one would really bother us. Whereas when we were skating, because I did skate for a couple of years, we'd end up skating the industrial area and it just get so boring because it was a small suburb and there was no spots and we didn't have a skate park. So
It's like a loading dock and that's it.
pretty much, and like
Find a pallet.
like a ledge like this, and you'd wax it for years and years, and by the end of it, it'd just be like, yeah. So we were doing that for years, and I guess when I saw my homies all building, it kind of was like, okay, this is what we do here.
Yeah. So you start with the dirt bikes and the dirt jumps, and then you start to like, I guess, because you're growing up in the age where YouTube's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing, but at the same time, we did have roots of going to your mate's house and seeing out the bikes out the front and knowing where your mates were. I think once we got to teenage years, that's when social media and everything was way more prevalent. Like,
And you can see stuff happen instantly.
yeah,
Yeah,
and we could like keep up to date with what was going on in America, and like once we got into BMX, I think that's when the whole YouTube, keeping up to date with everything, sort of came into play.
Yeah, for sure. And that changes everything, man, because people can see stuff, see how someone else does it. Once they see it's possible,
Yeah.
you emulate it.
Exactly, and that's what we kind of were. We were just these emulating soldiers, just constantly seeing what was going on and wanting to prove ourselves and try it.
Yeah.
I guess that's like, yeah, how it goes with everyone. But we would just see stuff and then just wanted to try
Yeah.
it.
And it's great for the progression of any art form when people can see stuff like that, you know? For a long time, whether it's BMX riding, skateboarding, DJing, graffiti, the secrets are gate kept. The internet changes all that shit.
It does. It's like it's an open playing field for anyone. And that was, I guess, the reason why everything worked is because we started uploading on YouTube and then we became the people that we were getting inspired off. So, yeah.
Sick, man. So with bikes, Have you got a bike store out there that you're frequenting? Do you have to go into the city to buy your parts? How's it go?
Yeah, so we were quite far away from the bike shop. We had a bike shop in Gladesville, which is like another 40-minute drive. That's called BMX Mafia. And Terry ran that, and he was amazing for us because like we'd go in there as young kids, and he'd sort out deals for anyone, no matter who you were. Would always take 30% off. So we kind of built a relationship to stay with him because he was such a good guy.
Yeah, for sure.
So we were doing that for years and years. And
So
then
he was like your first sponsor sort of thing.
he was my first sponsor. I remember going in there, and he was like, I was getting my bike serviced, and he was like, oh, how would you like to ride for Volume or Demolition? Because that was the brand he was distributing at the time through the shop.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh, fuck, like
How old are you?
16, I think.
Okay.
I got into it when I was like 13 or 14, so it was pretty quick after that. And I remember tripping on that, and then, yeah, we just went from there.
Yeah. And I'm guessing, because you're a pretty tall dude now, had you had a growth spurt by then? Because that
Yeah.
changes everything.
It does, it does. I was small. I was small for ages, and I hit puberty late, so I just had this massive growth spurt at like 18. So, yeah, you kind of have to like adjust your bike too to your height and everything. So it's been chopping and changing throughout this whole time.
But then you get that strength, and all of a sudden your legs are stronger. Tricks, stuff doesn't look as daunting, I'm guessing. It happens in two different ways. Like I remember from a skating perspective, there was some kids that were good at skating.
Yeah.
Then as they went through puberty, they got bigger. They lost their sort of coordination.
Yeah. I think it's funny. That's probably the opposite with BMX because once you build your strength, then things start looking easier, and then you can sort of become more stylish. But yeah, with a skateboarder, you kind of have to be like gracious and flowing and not so brute.
Yeah.
Whereas like street riding, you kind of have to be like, your upper body has to withstand a lot of like abuse.
Yeah. So when you're like 16, you're putting the videos out there. Are you doing big rails and stuff like that then, or what kind of tricks are you doing? Like as someone who doesn't know too much about BMX, what kind of stuff are you putting out there to get the attention of someone to sponsor you?
I think it was just try as many tricks as you can and get as good as you could.
Yeah.
And it just really reflected of who you were watching and what you were inspired by. So at that time, I was inspired by Dennis Anderson. He's like the goat of our sort of stuff. He's like an all-round rider.
Yep.
And when I started riding, I was really into him. So I was just trying to ride everything, and not ride everything, but it was more street-based, but we were touching anything like dirt, skate park, whatever was fun.
So is there a stigma that comes with recording stuff at a skate park like there might be with skateboarding? Is that a thing, or street should be kept in the street sort of thing?
Well, look, I think it's always been like that. I remember coming out, Ben and I, my filmer, would do some park edits because I really enjoyed riding a skate park and filming and progressing in the skate park, as cringe as that sounds to some older heads.
Especially when you're younger.
Yeah, but it was easier to learn. I found it so much easier to learn on a skate park than the streets because the streets has so much variable. So, technically people don't like it, but at the end of the day, if you're having fun, people will enjoy it.
And the older heads didn't have that luxury, man. Like, because there wasn't skate parks everywhere 20 years ago. So that's the difference. You know?
Yeah.
It's like hating on people that use the internet. You're like, well, if you had the internet, you probably would have used it 20 years ago.
Yeah, probably. But at the same time, a lot of people have made park edits over the time. That could just be a reflection of me too. Like, I think people accept it, but I remember hearing some things like, park edits aren't that valuable. Like, put your time into the streets. And that's definitely good advice. Because at the end of the day, if you put your time into a street edit, it just looks so much better.
Yeah.
People know how hard it is, and people can respect it, and it just looks better. But I still enjoy it.
And I guess it's about balance as well. Like, you don't want to have 100% park stuff. You don't want to have 100%, if you're going to do pool stuff or whatever, you want to have a balance to show that you can do it all.
Yeah, and it kind of just reflects your interest in the sport. Like, if you're doing everything, you're probably just someone that just likes to do everything, that wants to do everything. So
you're one of those dudes that likes to do everything.
No, not these days. I'm actually getting a bit more like older head where I kind of like will slim down the things because I've tried so many things.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of interested in dirt and street and not too much into park because I've filmed a couple park videos, and I guess I'm just trying to do stuff that keeps my spark alive with it.
For sure. So let's get back on your track. 16, you're getting flowed or you're getting sponsored properly?
It was flow.
Yeah.
It was just like the shop has some product and they're going to hook up the
But
local
as a
riders.
16-year-old, you're stoked.
Oh, yeah. It was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
And it's like everything that you wanted at that time.
Yeah. And then that makes you think, I'm going to focus on the bike stuff, fuck the skateboard.
Yeah.
And you used to play footy or something like that.
Yeah.
You were like, all right, it's bikes and
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of waiting for an answer like that because I was always a kid that was, I mean, I got brought up on like Crusty Demons and motocross videos. And to me, that's like planted the seed on like, that's what I wanted to be. It was either like motorbike, skateboarding or BMX. And I guess like trying them all out. And then once I got that sort of appreciation from someone that they wanted to hook me up, I was like, okay, well, this is my one. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because skating, I was like, I didn't have style. I remember my brothers and my parents would shit on my style when I was skating. Like
your parents.
Oh yeah, they knew. They knew. But so like once I had that opportunity, once Terry asked me, I was like, okay, this is obviously my natural one, my natural thing out of these three, because I tried them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely like a catalyst to push me.
So 16, 17, you're getting some flow sponsorship. It's pushing you. I guess friends and stuff are starting to get cars. Then you can go and explore the big city.
That definitely opened it up because like we didn't have train or buses. So once we got the cars, that was game on. Yeah. Like because I just got hooked up before we got my Ps. Once I had my Ps, it was like typically people would just get the car and just fuck off. But it was like, all right, let's go to the spots now. Let's film it and let's do something.
Yeah. And then you've got your crew, you're going just exploring the city, looking for spots you've already seen, looking for new spots, fucking everything.
Everything. Going to the famous ones, being like, oh, this person did this here. And yeah, driving to country towns when we're going to Sydney and Melbourne. We did Sydney and Melbourne so many times, so we'd stop into Gundagai and Yass and look around there, and there's shit that's popping up all the time. So we'd go anywhere.
With the BMX culture, is the NBD thing like a thing?
I'd say it definitely was.
Okay.
I think it depends where your mind's at with it. So, like, for me, for a couple of years, I was thinking about, like, who's done what, what's this, what's new. But I guess once you're in it for a while, you kind of just turn that off and things will come across the table. Like, you will see an edit and you'll be like, whoa, that hasn't been done. But for me, I guess I've turned that off my brain. Like, trying to push the boundaries and get the never been done. So I'm kind of a bit more... just not as that motivated with it. Guess the filming process and finding new spots and enjoying it is a little bit more attractive these days rather than trying to push it. You know what I mean?
The hunt.
Yeah, the hunt and just enjoying the whole experience. It takes like 2 years to film a really good edit. So I guess it's like all the in-betweens and the writing aspect and the NBDs aren't really crossing your mind.
I guess once you get to a certain point, you get the runs on the board, people aren't going to be like, oh, he's just doing tricks that someone else has done because you've got the fucking back catalogue.
Exactly. You've done it for years. You've done all these tricks. I mean, there are times when you're thinking about it if you have a setup and you've got certain tricks that you could push it, but it doesn't present itself that often.
So when you're saying you were doing some road trips to Melbourne, where were you coming and riding in Melbourne? What was that like when you first... Had you been here before?
Nah. Oh, fuck. Wait, let me think. No, I came here years ago with my parents and my friend, and we saw a footy game, and we came to the city, and I rode around the city. But technically, I'd say my first time really coming here was when it was like 2016 or 2017, and my friend was staying in Brunswick. And yeah, it was like, whoa, this place is cool. Well, the first thing I thought was there's fucking graph everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the city streets had like that blue. What's your stone that they have everywhere?
Yeah, it's like bluestone. Yeah.
Bluestone, yeah. So
it's great to skate on, and yeah.
Yeah, it's tough and feels good to grind. There was a lot of spots. But like we were saying before, it's very flat compared to Sydney. Sydney's very
which is good for skating, bad for BMX sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'd say for finding huge rails, like Sydney will have some real beefy rails because they have like a lot of cul-de-sacs that go in between one another, and there's just like these massive rails. So here you don't find those, but it's the differences. So like, yeah, the bluestone and ledges and unique, cool looking setups. Yeah. And it just looks different to Sydney too. Like when you film in the winter, the dark and the greys and everything, it's just small things.
Yeah, it is. if you're into art and if you're into that culture, then there's lots to offer here. Not to say it's not in Sydney, but it's in abundance here.
100%. It just seems way more artistic and
kind of accepting.
yeah, kind of accepting, 100%. But yeah, man, that's it.
So when you're leveling up your sponsorship at this stage, you've got your flow stuff. Once you get to 18, you've got your car. You're filming more. Is there more sponsors that are knocking on the door?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was a good 3 years of like, let's go for this sort of dream. You know what I mean? Of like becoming a full-time writer and getting paid. So there was like 3 or 4 years where you don't make any money.
Mm-hmm.
And
Couch
you get
surfing.
Yeah, 100%. And you're just filming and filming and filming. So we did that for ages. And then I think I copped my break when Sydney had an X Games.
Mm-hmm.
And X Games, they don't typically invite new people or...
Because you're an AM at this stage.
Yeah, I was an AM and I hadn't proven myself at all in much regard.
But you've got video parts that people are taking notice of.
Exactly. I had like 2 video parts, but I wasn't very experienced in contest writing. Like before X Games, I probably did like 2 local contests. Like I had no idea.
You don't really have to these days, do you?
Nah, I guess not. But it's definitely good to know how to write a contest because it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's like the exam compared to, I don't know, a non-exam.
Of knowing shit.
Yeah.
You can know shit, but can you know shit under pressure?
Yeah.
But that is true, man. And so look, as someone who's never competed in BMX contests, do you have your go-to tricks that you know are dialed and then you try and push outside the limits for some? That's
exactly right.
That's how I thought you'd...
Yeah, you keep it within your basis and then depending how you're feeling on that day, you can push it a little bit. But these days they're so strict on if you take a foot off or anything, it can damage your score. So I think you actually have to dull things down a little bit and do things that you know you're going to land. And then by some miracle you land that, the second run you just try and add some shit.
Yeah. So how does that sort of scoring work? You do 3 runs and they take your best 2?
Typically it's changed a lot, but it's been like 3 runs, they take your best one. But this last one that I went to, they did 2 runs, take your best one, and that's 50% of your score. And then best trick, you have 2 goes, and then that's your other 50.
Only 2 shots.
Yeah. So we thought we had 4.
Yeah.
But we had 2. So, yeah, it was strange, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
I always watch like the X Games and stuff or Street League and look at those courses and they look so soft, but they're actually like concrete, aren't they?
Yeah.
They spray the concrete in, but it looks like it could almost be like fucking, polyurethane or something.
Yeah, well, I think they do a coat over it or something, but it's literally concrete.
Yeah.
But there is parts where it'll be plywood. So you'll have like a middle deck and an upper deck that's plywood, and then you'll hit concrete. So it's funny, you'll get like a spring pop from the plywood, and then it's like hard as fuck on the concrete, obviously. So it's like a bit, you have to like learn the course.
Yeah, for sure. Because they're only made temporarily, so they can't really go all in with that stuff. What an undertaking just to do that and then rip it up a few days later.
All the contests do that too. I can't believe it. Like even Vans, they'll have beach comps where they'll make massive bowls and on the beach, and then they're
Out of
gone.
timber, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, bananas, man.
Yeah.
So that contest in Sydney where you said you got your break, what year are we talking sort of
That
there?
was 2018.
Okay, so 2018, and that's a park contest or street contest?
Street. It was Street X Games, yeah.
Street X Games.
Yeah.
So you do well in that one?
Yeah, I got second in that one, which was insane.
As an amateur against pros?
Yeah. But I was technically I don't know. Yeah, I was an amateur, I guess.
It was your big break.
It was definitely my big break.
Okay.
Because Monster was talking to me before the contest.
And how have you got on their radar just from your own parts?
I guess just because of X Games and word of mouth, I guess. So when they hit me up before X Games, I remember thinking, fuck, like this is my break. Because like if you get an energy drink one, you're kind of chilling. You can do it for a job.
Yep.
So I remember thinking like, fuck, if I do well, like I reckon I might have them. You know what I mean?
That was your motivation.
Yeah, because I was like, fuck, if I do all right, man, I just don't want to blow it. I really didn't want to get last. That was just the thing. I was saying that all week. I just didn't want to get last. So I guess it helped.
Did nerves kick in? Because it's a totally different way to ride.
It was fucked.
Really?
It was fucked. Like, so for instance, my whole sort of BMX stuff, it was just me and my mates.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've got my whole family, like in like the grandstands, and there's more than like 2 people watching. Like there's a lot of people in our shit. So
Yeah.
I just remember looking at them before I rolled in and just thinking, fucking just hold on. Like it's just, it's stressful.
For sure. And it's just a totally different way to ride compared to when you have got multiple attempts to do multiple tricks on your own time.
Exactly.
It's like now or never. You've got 45 seconds or whatever. Fucking make it happen.
Yeah, yeah. And like at a skate park, there's not those eyes, and there's not like who are you? Like everyone at the skate park, you're just flowing in. But when that shit happens, you kind of like bug out a bit.
And so people, you come second, people start taking note. Monster then want to seriously talk to you.
Yeah. I think after that, it sort of solidified it. I'm sure that they would have gone through with it, but I just think it just would have looked better in their eyes.
So you've gone from sort of amateur straight into energy drink.
Yeah.
Before you had like a bike sponsor.
I had bike sponsors, but they do the whole skate thing where they'll go Flow and Pro.
Yep.
And I left Volume and Demolition, which was those with the brands that I got hooked up through the shop after about 2 years. And then I went to Fiend. So it was still like early days within people. So they normally wait till you put in work and then they'll take you pro.
Yeah, because I've heard that with that Fiend sponsorship, that was legit. Like you're on the team from the US. It wasn't like Australian distribution Fiend stuff.
Well, it actually was. At the start, it was distribution because how I left my other sponsor, apparently in the industry's eyes, it wasn't too great. So I think a lot of people were reluctant to take me up again.
Right.
Because I just left. I just didn't really...
But like, where's the contracts? You know what I mean? Like, how are you supposed to do it? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I didn't think it was that bad, but I heard it was pretty bad. But I wasn't getting paid, and I was young, and I was just looking at my options of being like, well, if I'm gonna ride for you guys, I'm not gonna leave you, so I'm gonna get it right from the beginning, so I can stay with you forever.
So you should have made a phone call, an email, or something.
No, I just should have been a better bloke about it.
But that's a maturity thing.
It's a
How old
maturity
were
thing.
you?
I was young and I was a spoiled kid, so I had to learn the hard way with things. I was just like, you know.
Yeah. So that happens. You get on Fiend Australian distribution, which
Yeah.
then goes to
Yeah.
the proper team.
Yeah. So that took a while, but they knew of me, so they were giving me products, and I guess they were probably like, let's test the waters. And then I had a trip with them in Barcelona, and I hung out with them in San Diego with Garrett, that owns it.
Where's that company based?
It's based in Florida, but it's like kind of out of San Diego, like Southern California, because most of their people are riding there. But it's like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old brand.
Yep.
And they brought out a couple videos, and I was like obsessed with their team and wanted to be a part of it. I thought they were the sickest.
For sure. So, like, I'm sorry to keep making parallels with skateboarding,
No, you're
but
right.
that's just how it makes sense to me.
No, it's
so,
easy.
like, California is where you go if you're going to try and make it break the US. Same with the BMX stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
been happening for a long time. There was a couple of people that did it before me. Like Colin McKay opened up the windows for Aussies to go over there and start like getting into the industry over there. And it does a big thing. Like people love it when you go over there and you ride with them. And it's still the industry to this day. Like you still need to go there and hang out.
So to really get on a team, you can do all the videos you want, but you got to go there. They got to get a feeling for you in real life, and that Barcelona trip was that for you, sort of thing.
Yeah, technically, you gotta be around them for a week and hang out, and they can judge you for who you are, and you know what I mean. You just gotta have time with them. I think that's with a lot of things. So
For sure.
you can still make it these days easy with good video parts. You can get anywhere, but
You'd
I
have
think
to have your own filmer pretty much all the time, kind of thing.
yeah, you got to have shit sorted. But it's always great to meet them. You want to meet them anyway, so
For sure.
may as well hang out. You do
Yeah.
the same things, and why not create a bond?
So when you've got the M on your hat already,
Yeah.
the bike deal you think shouldn't be that hard. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I guess bikes are more. It's more, as cringy as it sounds, a bit more about respect because it's like it's not a big brand. It's not. We don't have all this money, so people are a little bit more selective of who they take on board because it is almost like a family where you have to give and take, and there might be times where you're not happy. So they're just wanting someone reliable and that loves it, and you know.
Yeah, for sure. And then in this, let's just do a little linear sponsorship thing,
Mm.
where do you go from there? So you Monster, Fiend.
Monster, Fiend. I have a Clat, which is a parts brand, like all the other components to your bike. So you have like a frame,
Yep.
which is Fiend, and you have to use their frame, but then you can use some other components.
Yep.
And then a Clat, you'll have to have like wheels and stem and cranks and everything.
Yep.
And then I had Boost Mobile for a couple years.
That's a big American one. It's not a thing here, really, is it? Though.
No, it was actually from the Australian office because they were trying
okay.
to get, I think they were trying to reintroduce to the Aussie action sports marketing sort of stuff because they were
Yeah.
on like a bit of a hiatus for a time.
They had that big boost thing that you could grind, like they made a handrail out of it and
For
used
real?
it at one. Yeah, they used it at one of the X Games or something.
Okay. Yeah, they're always sort of been there. Boost. So yeah, I did Boost for a while and then I'm just trying to think. Oh, and Vans.
Yeah, well, which I was going to get to because that's Vans. You're not just sponsored by them.
Yeah.
But you have a model with them or a
Colorway.
colorway.
Yeah.
But it's essentially your pro colorway
I guess so. Yeah. So it's,
signature.
yeah, I guess so. Well, we got to choose the colors
Yeah.
and the material and have some input into the design. So yeah, that was a sick opportunity for sure. That's like what I always wanted to do.
Man, I think anyone who's
Yeah.
interested in that sort of stuff wants to have their name on a shoe. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it was like that, but once it actually happens, you kind of don't. It's not like that. You know what I mean? I think beforehand, when you really want it, you're thinking, "Fuck, I want to have my name on the shoe." But then when it was happening, it was kind of like a bit funny.
What do you mean?
It was because my name's in the shoe. You know what I mean? That's my name. Like it just seemed a bit fucking weird at times, but it was dope. You know?
Do you wear your own shoes? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
You know how some dudes won't skate their own boards.
I
And
mean,
stuff?
look. So yeah. There's times where I'll consciously not put them on because I don't want to be like, oh, what's up, guys? Fucking rocking my shoes.
Yeah, but Vans, man, what a sick company to be involved with, right? Like you look at someone like Caballero, who's been fucking. He's never had to have a real job because they've sponsored him that whole time.
Exactly.
They obviously get the culture of bikes, skateboarding, what it's all about. So I think it's a fucking sick one to be involved with.
100%. They've got such deep roots in our game.
Yeah.
Like
Even just
sponsoring riders since the 60s.
yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, even just the way that their shoes are made, everyone ripped them off. You know what I mean? Like that sort of waffle sole, all that sort of shit. Like
Yeah.
they know what they're doing, and they haven't really changed how they've done it for a long time.
No.
60 years.
Yeah. And I guess they've got the winning sort of thing, so they're just going to stick with it. But
For sure.
no, they've been amazing. Like that's the best sponsor you could have in BMX because they back you so hard. And yeah, some of the people working there, like I fucking love them. They're just so good. Yeah, and like how they treat Steve and all the older OGs, like they keep them on and continue to give them opportunities because they respect what they've done for the brand. And I think a lot of like the stigma with our stuff is you're in and then you're out once you don't produce.
You mean just from a BMX standpoint? Or
Yeah, BMX and skating. Sometimes I think once you have had your time and you're not really showing too much effort or attention to it, they can give you the flick. But I think with Vans, they, you know,
I guess like anything though, you've got to think it's a business at the end of the day, and you're your own personal brand. And if people aren't buying your shoes and you're not riding, there's no obligation for them to keep fucking giving you a check.
fuck no. But at the same time, it's sick for the people that have had a very, how do you say it? Like they've solidified their spot within our game and at a certain timeline, and they won't forget that.
No.
Because at one point they did sell so many things and they did have such a good thing for what we've done. So
Yeah.
that's why I really respect them.
Yeah, for sure. Man, other contests. Is it the Kona Cup?
Nah.
Oh, Jeans give me these tips. He said he said you basically won like the equivalent to the BMX Sodi.
Oh, Nora.
Nora, there you go.
Nora.
Explain to us what Nora is, man.
It's like our Thrasher Skater of the Year, but it's like divided up into quite a few parts. There'll be like video part of the year, video of the year, which will be like a brand with all their riders.
Yeah.
There'll be like best street rider, best park rider, best dirt rider, and I just won a category within them of like the best video with Ben.
Who's been filming with you forever?
Yeah, since we got brought up together, like in the same suburb. We've just been together. So since like maybe 12, we've been filming.
So now that you live in Melbourne,
Yeah.
did he come to Melbourne with you?
No.
So how are you going with that?
He's all the boys there. They got a house in the city. Like they're chilling. They've got jobs. They're just not on this tinge. But he comes down a lot.
Yeah.
He'll come down on weekends. We filmed that Vans video, and he had to come down every weekend.
Yeah.
It sucks, but just trying to sort it out while I'm here and trying to make it work. I wish he was here.
Yeah.
It'd be so easy, but kind of makes you appreciate how good it is to have a great filmer.
For sure.
You know?
And you filmed the real street X Games part with him as well?
Yeah. Yeah. That was in 2020, and we got a little bit of budget for that, so we got to travel around. That was awesome. That was like another little milestone within our relationship because we were going to get paid better than other brands if we were to put the effort in for them.
And bonuses from Vans and shit
If we did well. We didn't do well. I mean, we did good. We got 4th, but
you didn't get the cool necklace.
no, we didn't get the cool necklace. It would have been a shame because Benny would have got one too.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about that real street thing is that the filmer is held as high as the rider.
Exactly, and it literally is that. Because I think people already know there's so much work that has to be done if you're a filmer. So much patience.
Yeah. And you wouldn't want to be that guy when the dude finally sticks that thing that they've tried 5 weeks in a row, 55 different tries, and fucking wasn't.
Oh, I missed it. Yeah, cheers. Fuck yeah.
I'm sure it happens, but fuck.
Not with Benny.
No.
Like, he's awesome. Like, there's some people, man, that just don't miss it. There's some, but at the end of the day, most filmers are 99% on.
And so big brands like Fiend and like Vans and stuff, do they say, you've got your dude there in Melbourne, you do your thing, just send us the footage? Or are they like, we've got our own filmer, you've got to use this guy, we need this deadline?
No, they've been since the get-go like chill because I guess they've seen that we will typically put out a video without telling people because we just want to do it anyway. So I guess that they've got a bit more of trust within us to just let us go and things will happen. So there are times where you'll meet up with certain brands and they'll have a designated filmer.
Yeah.
But for the most part, while I'm here, I'll just use Ben.
Yeah.
And it's easy as.
Even if he's interstate.
Yep. Yeah, I have to. He's the best. He's the best. And like we have that bond too. Like, I've had spent so much time around him. Like I can really be myself. When you're around newer people, you kind of tiptoey and you're on eggshells. You don't want to seem like a dick. Yeah. But I'm super controlling in terms of our creative time. Like, so I can tell Ben where to stand if I think so, and he's not going to be like this guy, like telling me where to stand.
Yep.
We've been through so much where it's just so easy. So I think that's what I really treasure with it.
For sure. You click, you've got a relationship, it's easy. It is what it is. So when you come to Melbourne, you leave your crew behind. Who are you meeting here? Who are you riding with here? Who did you sort of, befriend here?
Yeah. Well, I had Polly. I knew Paul.
Yeah.
From BMX, like you just end up knowing everyone from each state because of certain jams or contests. So we knew him for ages. Yep. So when I came here, I'll just be riding with him. There's a couple other little homies that get about. Cooper Brownlee.
Yep.
And his crew right now.
He was going to come on and we had to push it back.
Oh,
I'm trying, man.
Dude,
I'm trying.
That's the best one you could have. Like,
do you know what?
He's the sickest.
BMX dudes are hard to get to come onto this show, man.
Are they? Unreliable.
Unreliable. have had a few cancelled, but that's all right. You're here, and hopefully this opens up the floodgates. Because people always say, man, you've got to get more BMX dudes, and I love to.
Yeah.
So I want to learn about that shit as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's got a great. It sucks that Jeansy didn't talk about it too much because it was funny.
He'll be back.
Yeah, get him and talk about it because I didn't even know he had so much deep roots in our stuff till I met him. And I was like, oh, fuck, Coops.
Videos and everything, yeah.
Yeah, like they go way, way back. And that's just my lack of knowledge for what went down here. But those dudes put in so much work. They had so many videos come out. And then Cooper's been doing this for like 25 years.
So do you think that the scenes are disconnected from Melbourne to Sydney? Like you didn't know what was it? Yeah, okay.
Definitely. Well, I think in my experience from our suburb and us not knowing too much, I remember when we'd go to jams and everything like that, we'd get schooled from the older guys because they'll be like, do you know this guy? And we'll be like, no. And they're like, what the fuck? You don't know this guy? And you're like, well, we don't know who's going to pass on this info. Like, how are we going to know that video from fucking 2003 on Vimeo? Like, it's
Yeah.
impossible. So it's like,
But also, the world's a smaller place for your generation because the internet. So you may not know what's going on in Melbourne, but you know what's going on in Barcelona.
yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah. That was the trippy thing for us because, like, that's exactly right. I knew so much what was going on in LA and America, but I had no knowledge of what the past of our scene. So moving to Melbourne was like a really good thing to like meet people, then kind of open up the can of worms to what's really gone on.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, I'd see old videos and there'd be those boys hitting those spots 15 years ago doing the same tricks, and you're like, fuck, we're just them remorphed. Fucking 15 years later, like we're the exact same people with the same mind. Like, let's go to that rail, let's do this. So I don't know, it's trippy.
For sure. I was talking to a rapper that was in the other day who's in his mid-20s, and he's like, I'd like to know more about the culture, but he's like, how do we find out about it? He's like, he wants to make a doco about that. So I think that sort of stuff is really cool, that people want to try and learn about the history because so people can share that knowledge, you know what I mean?
100%. There just needs to be a source, because I think I was talking to Carney about it, and he talks about like rap forums. And I guess that was a bit more community based on everyone expressing their opinion from Australia. But these days you don't have too much chat forums or like that one hub space where everyone sort of comes together. Like, you have Instagram, but it's worldwide.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, Discord is kind of filling that void to an extent, but it's so specific with, and I guess Reddit, I don't use Reddit, but I think people do dive in there and they have their subreddits or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just sort of changed the way that it is, but it's way more specialized now.
I think there just needs to be a visual learning, sort of like what you were saying, the doco. That'd be the easiest way for someone within my gen and younger to absorb it and just to view it.
And then when they say, I don't know this guy, you're like, go watch this.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing about here. Like, so many people will get me onto so much stuff. Like, my notes is filled from chats of like, look this guy up, watch this, look at this. Like, then everything will start coming together. So I do admire like that sort of Melbourne trait that everyone's trying to get people on to what's really happened, how everything's come together.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think that with here, people are much more interested in let's push this creativity shit. You know what I mean? Sydney seems to be a bit more business minded, like a bit more dog eat dog.
100%. Because that's what I was brought up on. It was like my old man telling me like, how are you going to make money? Like, he'd be looking at like what I'm doing and be like, look, it's great, but how are you going to do this?
What did he do to break it down? Like what?
He didn't know what to do.
Okay.
Like, because it was like, if you'd look at my other brothers, like my other brother was a football player, and like, when you're younger, you have an academy and you have older people looking out for you, and you have this slow transition to then get paid. But with my sport, you kind of like look on the internet and you're like, well, there's people just doing tricks in the street. What is this? Like, how does this even come about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There just wasn't an easy process to it. It's not saying it's easy with the other one, but you know what I mean?
You're right though. Like, say with something like footy, you have the pinnacle level. You know you can get paid in the tiers below it, but you still probably need a real job. So you've got. But with a form of BMX or skating or anything like that, there's a lot of different ways you can make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You look at some of the dudes on the internet; they may not have professional sponsors, but if you get enough views, you'll still make money.
Yeah. So it's like trying to navigate what will work. So it's like you're going in blind a bit more, because you're just trying to find how anything can work with what you have.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
But what about X Games, Japan?
Yep.
You won?
Yeah.
How was that, man?
Trippy, like a dream.
So you've gone from, so the first one you come second, the second one.
Oh, there was times where I got last. There was a couple lasts.
So you're on the circuit sort of thing.
I'm just on the circuit.
Right.
So I started off strong, and then I went shit for a while. And then I just fucking worked on one day. Just feels like it's just your day. Like someone just is just like, here, have a good day. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems luck of the draw, to be honest, because like the layout of the X Games, how anxious all the riders are, it just ended up working that day. It was dope.
Is everybody chill together? Are people overly competitive? Is the BMX scene pretty... Yeah?
I think we're all typical. There's a couple that's competitive. I think we're all really competitive, but I think some people will stay within their own lane for the week. there'll be people that'll be chatting and talking, but I think all of us are chill. But all of us are competitive.
Yeah.
All of us will want to win. Like, because I look at it, it's just our biggest payday. It's our little comfort, you know. It's not necessarily like the accolades of being like I won. In my mind, I think it's like it's our payday.
Yeah.
Like,
And would something like that be achievable to do that circuit if you didn't have the energy drink sponsor? Is that like
that's another little funny one, because there's people, you do need like some backing, I think, these days.
for sure?
But at the same time, there's still people that have got in without it. It's still going to roll on, but I think it does help.
Yeah. And so those people that they still obviously have some sponsors and whatever, and they are going through the process of being selected. But if you've got that big sponsor, you don't have to really apply for that thing. You can just be on the tour.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, X Games is kind of funny. It's like once you're in, you're in.
Right. And then you kind of got to fuck it up to not be invited.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty quick. But no, anyone can get in it. I'm just not too sure of what the logistics are. It's pretty hidden, I guess. I don't know the info.
Yeah. And are you over that sort of stuff, that competitive competition sort of riding now?
I never liked it in the first place, but it's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to earn a living. You have to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't really mind it. I was always competitive with football. So like on the day, I kind of like getting into the zone of being like, fuck yeah, let's do it. But it's not something I'm looking forward to. Like the night before, all of us are so fucking anxious. Like no one can sleep because like it is that one contest out of the year where you can make a considerably good amount of money for yourself. So I think everyone's built on that pressure of like, fuck, tomorrow, like, you know.
Gotta do it, yeah. So. And then I'm guessing the sponsors are going to reward you if you're on top of the podium as well.
Yeah, some certain sponsors will, certain contracts. It just depends who you are and what they're paying.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned footy, man. So you're playing competitive footy for quite a while.
Yeah.
And your brother is still a professional player.
Yeah. So footy was like a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
Our granddad.
Even in New South Wales, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were rugby players. Started off rugby.
Yeah.
We were
Union
doing
or league?
Union.
Okay.
Did union for years and years. My brother played it for years and years. And then he ended up doing AFL later down the track.
Thing.
Yeah. Well, he got picked up because he needed to fill in for a mate of ours. Ended up playing really well and then got scouted.
Just fill it in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was the first game, but it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
But he was, yeah.
That is a thing with footy. Like they can sort of say, oh, this guy's got the athleticism. He's the right kind of build. You know, there seems to be a 6'1", 6'2", but he's athletic. And then they're like, we can worry about if he can kick later.
Yeah. They'll build him up.
Yeah.
They'll get him fucking ready to go. Trained soldiers.
But yeah. So you decided that wasn't the route for you, but you could have explored something like that, you reckon?
My parents big me up and they say that I was good at football, but I guess I didn't like get out there, go harder, fucking rah. Like I think I got a little bit weird with that. I kind of like just doing my own thing and setting my own sort of goals and boundaries.
Yep.
And like we were saying before, I had a growth spurt later, so everyone was getting massive. Yeah. And I was the little kid, so I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm out.
But you know, the problem is with that, if you're too tall too early, then they go, that guy's a ruckman, and then he doesn't grow anymore, and then all of a sudden he's just 6'1", trying to play as a ruckman.
Yeah, he looks stiff as. Yeah, but I could have done the football for a little bit longer, I guess, but yeah, it wasn't my thing.
No, and man, to be honest, when you're doing a profession like yourself, you can still play up a little bit. You know, that's kind of expected when you're doing the footy thing. You can't really step a toe out of line.
Nah, I think that's long term wise why I guess I've done it, because we were all having a bit of fun at that age, and I guess if you were to choose that career path, you have to be really strict about things. And I think it's kind of tough on those boys. Like they didn't really get to let their hair down.
No.
And I think, just that free lifestyle of like freestyle kind of was why we chose it, why I started leaving football, because I was like, fuck this, I'm not getting told what to do. And like have like teammates on my back or me on their, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just up to us.
But you still have to, and that's the delicate balancing point. You still have to have the motivation to get out there and do stuff, because otherwise nothing's going to happen. But you don't need a coach breathing down your neck telling you what to do either.
No, because it's like, you get out there.
What are you doing, man?
And I just remember thinking it was such a trip. Like, I remember going to some of my brother's rugby games, and we'd go out to Whoop Whoop, and there'd be parents on the sidelines like screaming. And I just remember thinking that when I was younger, like, this is nuts. Like, they're like 14.
Yeah, I know. It does happen with other sports though, man. Like, you see some people really pushing their kids to skate and stuff really early.
That's the new thing. Yeah.
There's a whole, like, that tiger parent thing or whatever you call it. Like, it is a real thing in any discipline. And now with the internet, you'll see some kid that's fucking getting thrown through the ringer, and you're like, is this kid enjoying that?
Yeah. And how long is it gonna take till he burns out? Because all of us do burn out.
But that's the reason why a lot of people, and like you've just mentioned, focus more on these individual type pursuits than the team stuff. But once you start going to bike camp and skate, you get told what to do.
Yeah.
That's like...
Well, it was also opposite too, because we'd have a bike camp. I remember going to Monster Skate Park, and we had this bike camp, and we went there for a week.
Where's that?
It was in Homebush.
Okay.
And it's like in the Olympic Park, and they had that since like 2000, and it was like the staple of the indoor skate parks for us.
Right.
And when I was 16, we did a camp there, maybe younger, maybe 15, and I thought it was the most like amazing thing ever, because we'd have a coach, ended up being a long-term friend, Davis, but they wouldn't be so structurally on you and so down your throat, and everything was a bit more encouraging and like, let's go over here and let's go ride this and let's go
Learn
do
at your own
this.
pace sort of thing.
Yeah, it was just so much more relaxed.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Yeah, cool.
Just fun.
What about like riding overseas, man? Is there like, you've mentioned Barcelona, you've obviously been to California. Where are some other cities you've ridden and other cool spots?
Trying to think, what's been sick? I liked Athens. We went to Athens a couple of years ago.
Yeah, is there a good bike scene there?
Super good bike scene. We had like this jam, and there was like hundreds of kids on the road with us. But I just remember that city having really good spots.
A lot of concrete.
A lot of concrete.
A lot of hills.
Little
All the stuff you need.
Little sketchy, but it was like normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think. Barca's just a given. Everyone loves Barca. It's got spots everywhere. London. London's great. I spent a bit of time in London because I have a friend there, and we're working on this video, an endless video, and we go to a lot of estates. So all the old estates in the city have all these fucking great rails and bank setups. Super unique.
Yeah, I never think of London as a good spot to ride street.
Yeah, it's super good. Like, they're knocking down all these estates and they're redeveloping with some shitter plans, but there's still so much in London.
Like housing estates and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all those housing estates, they have like sort of like almost like a play hub area in most of them.
Like a plaza in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll be different in every one, and you can search and search and search and search. So there's just boroughs and boroughs and boroughs of them.
And I guess you can jump on the tube there as well.
On the tube, right around. Yeah, it's massive. You could do it for ages.
Yeah.
I spent like 2 months there, and we only did the south side. Like, it's just a massive maze. So
Yeah.
lots of shit out there.
And the residents, are they loving it when you're turning up and just jumping down their fucking handrails?
They're all right, actually. It's the ones in Barcelona that you got to be afraid of. There's old ladies that will chuck out water in pots. I think some people would see some Instagram viral videos of like skaters doing that hippie jump into the bank, and the old lady chucks the pot on them.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of that.
Yeah, we've had a few water jugs chucked on us and stuff like that in Barca, but typically no one really cares.
No. Yeah, man. Yeah, London. I just never really thought of that, but yeah, I guess it makes sense. Everything you can get to everywhere.
You can get to everywhere, and it's an old city. It looks great on film.
Oh, yeah.
And typically old architecture has steel rails, which is great for us. And size of the rails, like the new gen architecture, they always try and integrate something that's not skate friendly. So there'll be, I don't know, a certain kink on the rail or a certain lower rail, or I don't know. There's all these things that they try and prevent it. Whereas the old times, it's like, it's a skate park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even when they try and skate stop things, that doesn't matter if you've got a fucking tyre. You know what I mean?
No. It does change it a little bit because you get a little of that bump. But that's, yeah, you can still go over it.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
chill.
The old skate stoppers, man. So with the scene now, the bike scene, obviously it's it's in a good spot, but you're, you know, someone who's sort of at the top end. Is there money to be made for people that are just trying to get by? Like, is a real struggle for a lot of people that are, you know what I mean?
I think so. I think the gap is pretty big between people that can make money from it and people that are just like doing it for the love. It's a big divide. People still can make money from it for sure, but I think it's quite hard. Yeah, it's quite hard.
And the gap's big.
It's not massive, but like I get paid. I don't get paid heaps. I get paid enough. So it's like, yeah, it just depends what you want out of your life, really.
Yeah, well, that's true. Like if you're happy with enough, you know,
Yeah.
and then you can have other endeavors and you can pursue other creative things like your painting and stuff like that. So have you been doing that forever?
Yeah, it's in school. Since school, I didn't start painting till high school when my teacher was like I would always have drawings to show her and she'd be like, dude, just fucking paint. Like,
What kind of drawings would you do?
just like portrait, pencil, drawings, like trying to make it all fucking perfect and neat.
Okay.
And my art teacher was kind of a bit more like free-spirited, I guess you could say. So she was like, Lou, just fucking try paint. And I had a crack at painting and I really liked it. And just went from there, really.
So you were trying to do nothing abstract. It was all going to be sort of just like realistic.
It was all going to be realistic, but like I remember using different colors and it's like what you can see with my artworks now. Like there would just be a range of different colors, but they're all sort of going together and you can see a bit of structure within someone's face.
Yeah, so how would you describe that?
Fuck, I don't even know.
But it's kind of like, it's sort of like organized chaos a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it's messy, but it's like when you kind of look, you can, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you go out front, you're like, what the fuck is this? And then you take a couple step back and you're like, oh, cool.
Bit like Monet sort of stuff where it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that, like chaos, and then you come back and you're like, oh, that's very legible.
Has your artistic style developed a lot since school?
Or
Or you've always sort of painted like that?
No, it's definitely developed. It's
Yeah.
definitely developed. Like at the start, I guess in terms of subject matter and in terms of practical stuff, my subject matter has gotten a bit more individualistic because I just choose photos that I take rather than just doing famous ones.
Yep.
I think that is a big difference. But also when I started using oils more, that's like been like maybe like a 5-year journey of every painting feels new. You're like picking up new little things because I don't know, it's quite hard to paint with oil paint because it gets blended quite easy.
And for your style, you want them to kind of blend a little bit but stay separate.
Yeah, exactly. So once you blend them too much, everything starts to just go into sort of like a brown, you know what I mean? It just gets too mixed and mushy. So you have to be sort of conscious of what you're doing all the time.
So why pick the oil paints then if it makes it harder?
Looks sick.
Okay.
Looks sick.
So the end result is there.
Yeah, and it just, in my opinion, it looks better when you see it on canvas in front of your eyes. Like the light will reflect it. It has a shine, and it has this depth to it. Whereas acrylic will sit on top of it and kind of seep in. Whereas oil has just like this bold component to it.
And oil will last forever. You know, there's oil paintings now in museums that are, 600 years old or whatever.
Stood the test of time.
Yeah. So you know it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Because I remember the first couple commissions I did it with acrylic, and I still think to this day, I'm like, fuck, I hope they don't crack, you know?
Yeah, but that's all learning, part of the process,
Yeah.
part of learning. You probably didn't even know, did you?
Fuck no.
Yeah.
No idea. But I know now that, oil is just the way to go.
So has anyone mentored you through this art journey?
YouTube.
There you
Nah,
go.
but those teachers did a huge thing for me, I think, looking back. Like, just their encouragement.
Yeah.
Getting me out of my little box because I'd be quite, I guess, I'm almost shy about it. So they were kind of just pushy, and I guess I needed that.
And it's great, I think, for somebody who has a job like yourself to have a creative outlet like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot. If you, hopefully not, but if you get an injury, you still have to let stuff. You can't sit at home and do nothing. You know what I mean?
No.
So you need that sort of stuff to be able to focus on something when you're not riding bikes.
Keep yourself sane.
Yeah.
Keep yourself sane, honestly, because there's times where you don't want to do it, just not even based out of injury, but just like a burnout feeling like, oh, I don't really feel like riding today. And having art's just a great little pillow, you know?
For sure. And that last exhibition you had, man, went well. You have a lot of Melbourne-related subject matter. Had a few people that have been on the show. How many works did you have in that fucking exhibition?
I think it was maybe 10.
Okay.
And all of it just came out of just randomness. Like the first person I shot was Tav in Sydney. And that really got the ball rolling because that was like the first time I did it when I was a kid, but that really got like the subject matter and everything. Like, fuck, this is awesome. I got the legs to run with this. Like, I got such an awesome person. And then when I moved down to Melbourne, just certain nights would present opportunities. Like, I'd have a beer with Carney, and then Fracture and Dime would be there, and then I met them, and then I just remember thinking, fuck, these guys are cool. Like, just how they were around me. I remember like how they dressed and just their demeanor and stuff, and I just remember thinking, fuck, they'd be cool to paint.
Yeah.
I didn't even know them.
Oh, you didn't know him?
No.
So you didn't know, you weren't familiar with Fracture's music and stuff? No.
No.
So you met Carney, I'm guessing, through Paul.
Yeah.
So you weren't into that hip hop scene?
No.
Had no idea?
No. I knew of Posse Shot.
Yeah.
And I only just discovered them probably like 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So I was late to the bandwagon on that. And Carney, I remember saying, he's like, dude, this is Frax. Like, he's the Donnie of this stuff. And like, yeah, this is the guy, blah, blah, blah. So I remember asking him straight away. I was just like, oh, you reckon I could take a photo of you for a painting? Both of them. And they're like, yeah. Sick. They were cool as fuck. Yeah. I went out to Footscray, shot a photo with him. He took me around. Super good guy. So I was like blessed to have the opportunity. I didn't really know like the contents that I had until I really put it all together. And I was like, fuck, there's some legends here. Yeah. I call it like the legend wall, like fucking Angry Boys, like. You know what I mean? Though? Like, this is my legends.
There you go. Yeah, wow. Yeah, and so have you always done the stills photography thing as well?
Well, funny thing is my first one, I was working at a butcher as a kid, and I grew fond of Alan, a bloke that worked in there, and he was just your classic Aussie, drunk all the time, butcher, big beard and everything. And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, fuck, this guy's cool to paint. And I painted him and I gave it to him, and his reaction was like, he was almost tearing up, and he doesn't look like a bloke that tears up. Yeah. And so I guess that sort of started it when I was younger, like doing paintings for people, I guess, that wouldn't imagine themselves getting painted. Yeah. But I had the ability to paint them, and I liked their story and I liked them. So
the photography thing, do you do just so you've got the subject matter and you've captured the image yourself, or do you take photos just for the sake of taking photos?
Nah, never. I just take it when I'm there, and I've just got the iPhone, and I just go beep, like.
Oh, so it's not even with a proper SLR or anything?
Nah, I'm not too fond of photography. Like, I remember when I saw Dime, he was like, you shouldn't do it on a phone? I'm like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's all I got.
Wow.
So
he thought you were going to turn up with the light box and everything.
Just got a phone.
And you just turn up with your iPhone 12 and going, thanks, man.
Yeah, I was a bit embarrassed, but fuck it.
And those guys are all stoked with how it turned out, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
They all came to the exhibition, just about.
Yeah. That was like, that made me fucking smile, like just them having to come down and giving me the opportunity to paint them too. Because like, I didn't know them. Yeah. And,
but you know them now.
Yeah, I know them now. So it was an awesome opportunity, and shout out to those guys for letting me paint them.
For sure, man. And so you had 10 works, and did you sell most of those?
No, my old man bought a couple. They weren't really for sale, but my old man.
It was just to do it for to have the show.
Well, it was to do a launch with the shoe. And I had the perfect opportunity to do it, so I just thought, fuck it, why not? Like, because I was painting for such a long time, and I was doing the Fracture and Dime just on my own time because I wanted to do it. I was never really thinking of a show. Mm-hmm. And then once the shoe release came out, and I was like, well, I've got all these works. Like, let's do this. So.
And Vans is going to come to the party, so you're like.
Yeah, it was just worked out perfectly. They booked the event, and it was like a win-win for both of us because
for sure
they get their product marketed in a cool way, and I get to do things that I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to do a show, but I never knew how to fucking do it. Like, I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know, you know what I mean? It seems like kind of hard with art where I guess you kind of, I don't know.
when you've got the right connections, man, it can
Yeah.
come together reasonably easy.
Yeah, well, it did. I guess I just had a good couple mates like Simon put in the word for me to Ariana, the B-side gallery owner.
Yep.
And then it just went on from there. So it was,
For sure. And
definitely.
something you'll do again?
Oh, 100%. I just need more time. Need to come up with like another subject matter, you know, think of something cool. That's what I kind of, after every time I'm like, fuck, I could get a little bit deeper. I don't really think too deep about it. I just take the photos and these are the people that I like. You know what I mean?
Makes
Simple.
sense. Always portraiture or like landscapes or?
Typically portraiture. I'd love to do landscape though.
Yeah.
I think I might try and do landscape. I've always been a bit scared.
There's lots of cool landmarks around Melbourne, man.
I know. I've got a good friend that does them, and he's got me on. Mark Botchu. He's a great landscape artist at this moment. So there's a few influences that are pulling me towards a way of like doing cityscapes and
Yep.
more landscape.
Yeah, for sure. So now that you are, I won't say you're a Melburnian, but you're living here.
Yeah.
Run us through what a day in the life is for a pro BMX.
Shit, they don't want to know.
Well, I want to know.
I'm about to wrap myself out here. No. I'll typically, most days, if I'm feeling fit and healthy and I'm chilling, I'll be riding rivers like every day. Mm-hmm. Riverside Skate Park.
Yep.
It's about 10 minutes from me, so I'll just pedal down the hill.
And they're cool with BMX there all the time now?
Yeah.
The sale yards, you were only allowed to have BMX there on a Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they'll come there and the dudes will be like, "Oh, man, you're fucking up the coping with your pegs."
Yeah.
And all this sort of shit.
Yeah, we had to live through all that shit. But that's fair because metal pegs do rip up the coping.
Yeah.
Well, they don't rip up the coping, they ruin the concrete. So the concrete will get chunks out of
They
it.
used to dint the coping, is what they would say.
Oh, okay.
Because the previous skate park was all like plywood.
Yeah.
And so there was no bowls, there was just quarters and stuff. But
Okay.
They would say, and the pegs would end up through the plywood as well.
Yeah.
They would just fuck shit up.
Yeah.
So they'd come on.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But now you're allowed to ride there all the time?
Yeah, everyone's got like street sort of new setups, and they'll have plastic hub guards and plastic pegs,
Okay.
plastic pedals. Everything's plastic. There's still some people that will.
So that's
metal
just
peg it.
for BMX in general now, plastic pegs, or when you're riding parks to not fuck it up.
Well, no, it's gone from metal to plastic, but just for the feeling of grinding. So it'll be like less friction for plastic pegs. You can sort of sit in the grind differently to a metal because of all the resistance. Mm-hmm. So there's things that are easier, and then there's also things that are harder. So like metal pegs has an advantage for steel rails, whereas plastic you can hit all rails. You can hit an alloy.
Yeah.
You can hit stainless.
Yeah.
So I think it's gone in a route of progression rather than trying to like silence all those people that were like, stop fucking up our shit.
Yeah.
I think it's just a good positive from it.
You can't beat that sound of metal on metal though. Like,
Feels
that's
sick.
That's the best.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I didn't get brought up with that. Like my first bike was always plastics, but I have a couple mates that have metals, and when you hear them grind, you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like someone doing a burnout in a car. You're like, woo. Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, you get up, you might go down to Riverside.
Yeah.
You might do your thing there.
I'll do that, and then if I'll meet up with Polly some days, and we'll go around the city, and we'll just try and film clips.
Yeah.
We'll just do a
So
little.
you got him on the camera?
Yeah, and vice versa. We'll both be filming each other, helping each other out.
Yeah.
And then other days I'll just ride around, just whatever I feel on the day. I'll change up skate parks a lot. I'll ride a street spot for a couple hours. It changes.
Can your body handle riding every day? Do you have to have rest days?
Definitely. When I was younger, it was easy.
Yep.
But once I hit 25, I remember thinking like, if I have like 2 days in a row, I need a rest day.
Yeah.
Or at least half a day. Otherwise, it's just, you get really stiff and just sore and not
Man,
good.
I've got bad knees. I don't even know how you guys ride in those little bikes anyway, man. Like, I can't even do it. I'm not even doing tricks. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you do need to be flexible, and you need to kind of keep your body in a fluid state. Otherwise, you just lock up.
Yeah.
And then maybe injuries will happen.
For sure.
So you kind of have to be fit.
And bailing, man, that's one thing I'm like, fuck, like you
Yeah.
got to know how to just, when you're not going to stick it,
Yeah.
when to just ditch it.
Yeah, this is a good conversation between skaters and riders because I feel like every skater's bike journey has started from a really terrifying crash when they were younger, and they're like, bro, fuck bikes. So like it is like an art to release your bike in a certain situation to get out of it. So yeah, you kind of have to learn that from an early age how to get rid of that bike because otherwise you can get tangled in it.
And I can just remember copping fucking, pedals in the shins. The shins, the most vulnerable part of the body, man. Oh.
Yeah, but then you turn into a kickboxer. The nerves die out and it doesn't feel that bad anymore.
So you cop a shinner and you'll be fine.
I mean, I'm not fine. I'm still going fuck, but like you've done it so many times, you just get the initial shock and then you're just like, oh, it's just another one.
Yeah, and what's the lifespan for a BMX dude now? Like, is it getting progressively longer?
Yeah.
Skaters used to peak at 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
Now you got dudes that are doing it till they're 50, 60. You know?
Yeah, same deal. I think it's
Yeah.
going up and up because like the first gen are still alive.
Yeah.
So there's Dennis McCoy that's still doing 900s at, I forgot how old he is, maybe 50, late 50s.
Yeah, wow.
I don't know, but he's older.
Yeah.
And he's still smashing it. So it just depends. Even Matt Hoffman's still riding. So yeah, it depends what you do. I guess what they do is low resistance. They're not technically on street, so their bodies could handle it more. But what they're doing is way gnarlier than what we're doing. So it kind of goes like that.
The progression is really happening though, isn't it? Like the way the tricks that I see people doing when I fucking tune into the X Games or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'll be totally honest, I don't sit down and just watch BMX video parts.
Yeah.
But when I do catch it, I'm like, they're definitely leveling up. It's getting crazier and crazier.
Yeah, yeah, and it will for the next 10 years. I don't see it slowing down. Like there's this new generation of Japanese riders that are coming up, and they're like so fucking
Japanese
good.
seem to be good at everything, don't they, man?
Yeah, they just figure out the formula and then they do it better. Like there's a kid that's 12 years old at the moment, and I watch him and I'm like, how are you this good so young and so stylish and so...
That's the
It
other
just
thing.
doesn't make sense.
They seem to do it very stylish when they do hone in on something as well. The young Japanese guys, whether it's breakdancing or whether it's skating or whatever,
Yeah.
they seem to just do it so effortlessly.
Technicians, I don't know what it is, but they just know what's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where this kid's going to be in 5 years' time and what he's going to do for like the X Games and BMX in general. Like,
Yeah.
he's definitely our new guy.
And the women's side of it, is that progressing quickly as well?
Yeah, big time. Like since I got into the whole sport, like I've seen it drastically change. Like there's a few women like Paris and Angie that really push it. And like they just got into X Games for the first time.
Yeah.
So they were pushing that for years. Vans does a lot of things with them. Yeah, it's getting big. There's heaps of girl street riders.
Yep.
So like when I first started riding, I didn't see any girl street riders. Now there's heaps.
Yeah.
So I'm like, whoa.
And what you need is for some of those girls to do it, and then other girls will be like, yeah. And it's like the women's footy. It's like now that you see it on TV, there's my son did Auskick. There's way more girls there than when I was doing Auskick.
Really?
I don't think there was any girls. When we were
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah, it's completely changing. Soon it'll literally be 50-50.
50-50. Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing because, it'd just be good to see fucking more people doing it, more people enjoying it and not having it so, black and white.
Well, when you've got things like BMX at the Olympics, you're like, everyone's seeing it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where you stand on that whole thing. Like, it's only been for one.
Yeah, only 1 year.
Yeah, and the Aussie kid won the park, I think.
Yeah, Keegan Palmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been great, big for Oz.
For sure.
And Logan won the BMX.
Yeah.
And like that's what I was saying. When I came back and I was watching the telly, like I'd watch normal telly, and there's ads of like Logan doing tricks on the BMX, and same as Keegan Palmer. And I remember their clips sort of held out longer than swimming. And I just remember thinking that's such a massive thing because when I was younger, swimming and the track would be idolized in the coming up, and majority everyone would be caring about the swimming results.
Yeah.
But I think these days it's going to be like people tuning into the bike and the skating thing.
For sure. And fucking breaking this year, man.
For real?
Breaking's in it.
No way.
I don't know
I
how
didn't know that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to work.
What?
But yeah, breaking is in this year, and bouldering, like climbing.
Okay.
I think they got rid of trampolining and synchronized swimming.
Oh, damn. Those were sick. Well, I'll get rid of those.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, so it's everything's changing, and I feel like skating and riding is becoming the new football.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well,
Within our like parents and pushing us and the normality of it all, you know what I mean? When I was doing it, was a bit taboo, like you're like the,
but there wasn't skate parks around. There wasn't places to ride, So now that there is,
Yeah, I think it's more or less the career. There's career options. There's people that the parents
older-
can see on the telly and be like, well, you can be like fucking Logan Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so the Olympics, well, I'll just show a photo of you taking your jacket off so it doesn't look a bit weird. So the Olympics now, is it street and park? In
No.
BMX? Just park.
Just park. But
there's
skateboarding has street.
Yeah. But does skateboarding have park?
Yep.
So that's weird.
Yeah. Well, that explains our smallness. Like, it's not big enough, I think. And there's not like a point system within BMX Street that you can lead up to
There's not like a
the
street
Olympics.
league.
No.
Okay.
So we're obviously just not big enough.
So X Games is the only real circuit you can do. There's no street league, so that's probably why they're not. Okay. But there's also the BMX like race, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
That's a thing as well that they do in the Olympics.
That's another massive thing. That's a
Yeah.
completely different world. But
Totally, yeah.
yeah, racing is still fucking going.
Yeah.
Still big.
Yeah.
It's massive.
And I'm guessing it's bigger in some countries than others. Like,
Yeah.
you've got different scenes in different spots. Because vert is still popular in a lot of places.
Yeah, but then it's also not like there was no vert this year for BMX in X Games because I guess there's a lack of competition.
Right.
So there's a lack of new people getting in there and trying vert for a thing. Like it got dominated by Jamie Bestwick for so long that I guess like if you're going to go above him, you have to learn some fucking insane stuff. Because
Yeah.
like watching them BMX on vert in person is fucking nuts.
Yeah, man. I've been at Paran before and just seen some dudes like, and just, you're like, fuck, man. Like, it's crazy.
One wrong move.
Yeah.
How
With vert at all?
what's that?
Do you fuck with vert at all?
Oh, I wish.
No.
But that shit's a different game. Like, if in order for you to learn that, like, you got to do the full,
Face mask.
body armor, learn how to take a couple big slams. Man, too gnarly for me.
Yeah.
Too gnarly.
It is. It's just another world.
Yeah, yeah.
But there is so many little subgenres within the BMX culture.
Heaps. There's vert, flatland. Vert and flatland is two ones that you need to watch in person to really appreciate it too. It's just
Like
amazing.
freestyle flatland.
Yeah, freestyle flatland, street, park, pool. People are pool riders.
Yeah.
People are solely just dirt, and they could be even just builders too. They just love the art of building dirt jumps.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so many avenues you could go down.
So much different stuff.
Yeah.
And during any of those disciplines, is it cool to wear a helmet? Just vert.
Yeah, no, vert, bowl, pool,
It's
street.
So
Look, it can be cool. If you're a street rider, I guess you just have to be doing something that you're going to hit your head. So, of course, wear a helmet. You know, you've got my respect for sure. But I just think for me, when I see myself wearing a helmet the whole time in a street, it just looks a bit funny. That's all.
But it's because, like, when you go to the US, they must spin out that we have the helmet law here. Not that anyone really, but you know what I mean? Like, we always used to
Yeah.
ride around with the helmet on the handlebars just in case you see the cops, you're like, oh, I've got it on.
Yeah. Oh, fuck that law. Fuck that law. But yeah, they do trip out on that. But that's sort of toned down the last couple of years. I remember when it first got implemented, they were honest, like, no tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got pinched for a couple of those, but it's just such a stupid law.
Yeah, well,
Like I got pulled over getting a pie, like going on the sidewalk to get a pie, and they were hiding in a driveway, and both of them were like, "Oi, oi!" And I turn around because I think I know someone, and it's two cops on bikes, and then they get me.
yeah.
So I
like
think they've dropped that. Maybe I don't know.
I'd like to think that the cops are radioing each other going, we've got a 420 here, we've got a 420. 4 and 20.
Got him.
Got him, yeah, all right. No, but so there is a stigma for people for riders that wear helmets. Some competitions you're going to be forced to.
Yeah.
But if you put out a street part and you're rocking a full fucking helmet, are people going to be like,
No.
it's that's not really.
I think within BMX, a lot of everyone's like wanting you to be safe because we've had a lot of top tier athletes that have injured themselves even with wearing helmets. So I think everyone's on that sort of like, hey, just do what you think is safe. And I don't think anyone talks shit on anyone. I think there's times where you wish someone didn't have it on and you could see a little bit more out of them, but at the end of the day, they're just protecting themselves. So,
for sure.
you know,
Yeah.
you just let them have it.
You just let them do it.
Yeah.
what do you see with what trends do you see coming back in, or where do you think BMX is going? Obviously, street, you can't see it going anywhere. Do you see vert's gone out of favour? Do you see
question.
the flatland stuff coming back, which is obviously pretty niche? Where
Yeah.
do you see it going?
Good question. I think flatland is sick. I think that will always have a presence, and I think it could grow.
It's like an art, though, isn't it? It's a bit different. It's like it's a different thing.
It's a different thing for sure, but I see some young people getting into it, and I guess that's why I'm like, it's going to go somewhere.
Yep.
Vert, I'm not too sure. Just like how I was saying before, it's such a high echelon to go reach above
Yep.
from previous riders. I think dirt. I think all of it's going to stay the same, and street gets a little bit bigger because I think that's just what technically happens. It's just the most popular one.
Yeah.
Like with street skating, I think it had the same thing. Street's still the biggest.
And street just has no ceiling because there's
Yeah.
always going to be new spots and crazier things and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. It just progression.
And it just looks better. Like I was saying before, it's so much more rewarding. It's so much cooler when you find a setup and you do a trick like to complement the setup.
Yeah.
There's just so many more things. So yeah.
And for someone who doesn't ride, what's the stigma about riding on grass in parts? Is that really a thing?
Yeah.
It is.
It is. Well, I learned it from traveling and hearing people's opinions from different countries, but I didn't hear it when I was here, when I was living here. But it's a thing that us Aussies do a lot because we have rails onto ovals and to, typically just a perfect grass lander. So it's kind of like not as hard.
Yeah, so some people are of the school of thought that you've got to be landed on concrete or it's not really a thing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's kind of that old school brute way. Kind of like it though.
Yeah.
It's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks better when you have a video part and it's all consistent concrete and it's not, I don't know. Once someone does a rail and they know how easy it is when you can land on grass and roll down grass compared to when you go down to a middle set and if you go over, you're going to roll your ankle or body the other side of the rail or that rail. Mm-hmm. I think it's just for people that know and that have rode and done a few setups where they're like, dude.
How much of it, though, is just having balls? Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of it. Obviously, it takes skill to get up onto a rail, but there's people I'm sure that could do it. They just don't have that is a big part of it, isn't it?
100%. 100%. It's like, yeah, it's definitely 50-50 because you can be really good, but then you can see someone that doesn't spend too much time in the streets. They're very reluctant to try stuff. Because the skate park has dimensions, the street has dimensions. Once you try the street stuff, you're ready and you can fuck with anything. Mm-hmm. But if you're a skate park rider and you're trying to adapt, you can really see the hard transition. Like it's typically always higher. The ground will be rougher, or it will go down or up. There's so many things that make it harder.
Security guards, civilians,
Yeah.
people with prams,
Yeah.
a lot of different factors.
Busy roads. Someone's got to check the traffic out for you. Yeah, the time warning. Just the feeling of grinding someone else's rail and they're pissed about it already. You can just feel and there's a few things.
A lot more factors, man.
Yeah, a lot more factors.
Yeah.
But what was the question? Sorry.
I was just like, it wasn't even a question. It was just more of a statement. I'm saying how much of that sort of stuff, big rail riding, comes down to just,
Balls.
backing yourself. Balls, yeah.
It is. But once you start it and then you build your confidence, like, I guess it's just, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I guess, it's a big part of it.
For sure, man. So what else is coming up for you in 2024, dude? What can we expect? More painting, more van stuff, more pro model stuff?
What have we got going on? Just filming projects. We got a couple filming projects. I've got one more contest.
What contest?
It's the one in England. It's like a Battle of Hastings one. I've been there like 5 times.
Yeah.
It happens each year. It's like a team event where you become a captain and the captain chooses their team, and then you have like a rail jam. Someone will ride the rail, someone will ride the high air, someone will do the contest. And then
cool.
Yeah, so I've got that in September, and then there's
Are you a captain?
yeah.
Cool. So
Yeah.
who's your team?
Shit, I actually I don't even have them all together. And there's a few. Yeah, I gotta get one more person, but it's a surprise. Couple weeks it'll come out.
Okay, yeah, sick. So you're the captain of the team. You're going to do that. A Hastings challenge, is it called?
Yeah, Battle at Hastings.
Battle at Hastings. That's
Yeah,
sick. And what
yeah.
else?
And X Games Chiba again.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think it's their last X Games in Japan.
Yeah, right.
So that's in late September.
Yeah, wow. And what about from your personal sort of any other projects, more artwork, anything else?
Yeah, I'll be doing more art. I think that will just be like what I always do is just have it on the side and just paint stuff when I get inspired.
Yeah.
And then I'll just do stuff with Ben, like film a project just between him and us. And we're trying to do like a 2-year one, make it good.
Yeah.
So that's starting now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And maybe some more real street, hopefully that comes back.
Yeah, more real street. I don't know if I'll be in that, but that will probably come back. But yeah, just film on our end and plan trips within our stuff and slowly over time chip away and then have an edit in like 2 years.
And staying in Melbourne, is that the long-term goal?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's nice. And yeah, I don't see myself moving.
Man, you told us about the Japanese dude. I'm gonna
Fuck.
I'm gonna look him up. But anyone else from a local tip? Any other Aussies that we need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, there's a South Australian rider called Braden McFarlane.
Okay.
Is that it right?
Yeah, I think so. Braden.
Yeah. Braden.
We'll check out Braden. He's from South Australia.
Yeah, he's coming up. He's doing like crazy street setup stuff that are surprising me. I'm like, wow, this kid's really fucking good. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, just the usuals, Paulie, Jackman Hins, my mate.
Are the Aussies making some waves on the international scene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always just kind of goes up and down, but we've always had some sort of contribution.
Do you see BMX going through waves of popularity like that? Like it with a lot of things, it's skating as well. Yeah.
It goes up and down so much. Like after COVID, it was huge, and then it crashed.
It crashed, you think? Yeah.
Well, people were overbuying, and they couldn't get rid of a lot of parts because they had such a demand in COVID because people weren't doing anything. So look, it goes up and down all the time.
For sure.
And that's like just the love of it. You just got to ride it out.
Yeah.
There'll be times where we almost broke, and then there'll be times where we make money. So.
Yeah, and I guess it's like any of these sort of subcultures. You get a big thing that'll happen, people get excited, and then people fucking fall out of love with it.
And then they come back, and they're like, oh, I love this. Oh, I fucking remember this.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like that. Like, you'll just have people coming back, and then you'll have kids that are into it, and then drop it. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, well, I appreciate you coming down, man. I want to take you and show you a couple of spots.
Oh, yeah, true. Let's go. I'm keen.
All right, Louis Mills, thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you, man.
You too. Thank you.
Cheers.
3,000.